Hey guys, welcome back to our second guided video lesson. I'm proud to say I read the survey results and most of you guys thought that the first guided video was helpful, so we're going to have another one today on a different topic, which is what was life like for Americans during the Great Depression. I do want to say that some of you guys complained that the video was too long, so this is going to be a shorter video. And a couple other people said I was a little too serious on the first video. And so my response to that is, I got you. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the beach. I'm having a great time here. I got a little tired of staying inside for the last 4 weeks, so I have taken a little vacation. So I just want to give you some directions for the way this activity is going to work. You guys are going to listen to a song. It's a very famous song from the early 1930s. It's called Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And there's some accompanying lyrics that go with the song. We're going to listen to it one time. Afterwards, you're going to do a little song lyric analysis on your own. Then you're going to come back to this video. I'm going to do some of my own explanation. And after this, you're going to do one final activity. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
They used to tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. When there was earth to plow or guns to bear, I was always there, right on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream, with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower up to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Why don't you remember, I'm your pal. Say, buddy, can you spare a dime?
Hey guys, welcome back. So at this point I'd like you to stop this video and go onto the organizer. I'd like you to make some guesses. What do you think these different song lyrics mean in this song, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? When you're done making some guesses, come back here, we'll have a little discussion, see how you did, and then I'll explain the final activity. So the first lyric says, they used to tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. And this could be interpreted some different ways, but honestly I think the best way is when we look at the stock market crash and the type of behavior that people exhibited leading up to that crash. Everybody wanted to cash in on the market, make a quick profit, and as we all know, that didn't turn out well. People were buying stocks on credit and the whole thing collapsed. So following the mob doesn't always work out. The next lyric I asked you to take a look at, why should I be standing in line just waiting for bread? And during the Great Depression, this was a very common sight. People waited in these lines called bread lines or soup lines. Now, in the early part of the Great Depression, these bread lines were not run by the government. They were actually run by charities and churches, and it was a source of great shame for many of the men, in particular, who had to stand on these lines and ask for free food. At a certain point, however, Americans turned to the federal government for this kind of help, and when we get to talking about the New Deal next week and Franklin D. Roosevelt, the government is finally going to step up at a certain point and say, listen, we need to provide relief for people who are suffering. The next lyric in the song, once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Now again, this could be interpreted different ways, but the way I understand it is this is a reference to all of the prosperity, the economic prosperity, the industrialization which happened in the United States. Leading up to this point in time, we learned about the Transcontinental Railroad, and that whole period of industrialization in the late 1800s, America is booming, and we created this massive economic engine, and suddenly it's like we've dropped off the cliff, and it's no longer providing prosperity for ordinary people who are finding themselves in a desperate situation. Once I built a tower up to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Now, once again, I think this is a reference to the massive growth of the American economy, industrialization, people had jobs. In particular, though, it's a reference to the skyscrapers that were being built in the heyday of industrialization, especially in New York City. And in 1930, in fact, at the beginning of the Great Depression, one of the few places you could get a job was working for the Empire State Building that was under construction beginning in 1929. And this was the tallest structure in the world at the time. It opened in May 1931. But once that building was built, this was kind of the last big project that was still active at this time. And many Americans, of course, are out of work in huge numbers. And lastly, he says, once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee Doodly-Dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. This is a reference to World War I. Many Americans in this time were veterans of that war. They had fought for their country, they were patriotic, they did their duty, and now they find themselves out on the street, homeless in many cases, and desperate. And next week we're going to talk about something called the Bonus Army. This was a group of Army veterans from the war that marched on Washington, D.C. and demanded early payment of their veterans bonus, and we'll find out what happened next week. But this is a situation many of these people find themselves in. They're out on the street asking for change, asking for food, and so you get the sense of the real desperation that people were dealing with in this song. Now the next thing you're going to do is to go back and fix your lyrics based on some of the things I said here. If you need to go back and make corrections, please do so, and then come on back here and I will explain the final activity for this lesson. Hey guys, welcome back. Your final activity is to write a 1/2 page journal entry as if you were a traveler traveling around the United States in the 1930s. What were some things you saw? What are some of the experiences people are having in this time period? I would like you to write a 1/2 page that's typed, 1/2 page journal entry based on the reading called Life During the Great Depression. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. When you come back here next time, we're going to talk about someone named President Herbert Hoover and his response to the Great Depression and why many Americans were not happy about it. I hope you guys are doing well. Please shoot me a text if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.